Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 336 once again for episode 183 of the 815 Exchange. And ladies and gentlemen, this is also, I guess technically, the birthday edition of the 815 Exchange, as yesterday was my 23rd birthday, which some of you will have known if you do follow me on my social medias, which are provided in the description and in the outro, along with timestamps, which are also found in the description. Like I always say, everything you're looking for in this life can be found in my description. So yeah, timestamps embedded in the video, also found in the description. Like I said, first episode, Jordan year, GOAT year, Braun year, whatever you want to call it, 23, 22, was full of lessons. That's the best thing I can say about it started off really good. The first couple months of being 22 years old were very good. The rest of them were mostly pain. I'm not going to lie to you. So 23 started off with a bang. I love the country of Colombia, man. I really do love Colombia. And yeah, started off great. Started off fantastic. So yeah, day one, or now day two, should I say. Hoping to keep the momentum going so we can have a great year. We can have a great year on this channel for my age 23. As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. And as always, let's talk. Let's talk. College basketball. A lot of stuff happened. Not as many upsets. We're actually going to start off with CBB, but I'm not going to do that yet. Full of pain for me, but also still a lot of interesting storylines going on in college basketball, which we haven't really been able to say a lot of the season besides, I don't know, the women's game and Caitlin Clark. We got the NBA to talk about, and the scoring implosion continuing, scoring fiesta. Not scoring fiesta 3, but the scoring continues. We'll talk about that. Of course, it is Super Bowl week, so I have a Super Bowl preview in the main event for you guys. And of course, we have a really interesting roundup if you want to stick around for that or skip ahead. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this show under the road. Like I said, we are talking about college hoops to kick us off. And let's get it out of the way. All right, let's get it out of the way. Some of you know I am a Duke fan. I am a Duke Blue Devil. I know that is a betrayal for some of you that did not know, as I am a resident of North Carolina. I know some of you viewers are from North Carolina, and you may root for that team in Chapel Hill called North Carolina. So this may be a little bit of a betrayal for you. But if you watched last week's episode and specifically watched the college basketball segment, exactly what I thought happened happened on Chapel Hill on Saturday night on my birthday eve. Unfortunately, even though Charlotte did beat ECU, so shout out to my alma mater for holding it down, but unfortunately, my favorite team could not do the same as North Carolina got the win, 93-84, as I unfortunately expected. A tragedy. Listen, Carolina was in control of this game from the jump, all right? They held firm. I don't know if we really led. I'm not sure if we led at any point, which is very sad to say, and makes the game sound kind of like more out there or more of a blowout than obviously the score dictates. But I'm not sure if he actually led at any point in this game. I'm not sure. So, yeah, Armando Bacot in his 68th year of college basketball had 25, 10, and 5. So shout out to old man Mondo. Harrison Ingram, though, even though, Mondo, he gets, a little bit of the headlines. Harrison Ingram has been the X factor. He has been that guy that has elevated this Carolina team, and why come March, they're very likely going to be not just ACC championship contenders, but just plainly national championship contenders. He does all of the dirty work. All of the dirty work. I don't even want to call him, even though Draymond is probably not like a bad, I don't want to say comp because they're not that similar of players, but that same type of role, in a sense, is what Ingram fulfills on this Carolina team. He does all of the dirty work, the defense. If he needs to play make, he'll play make. He averages 9 rebounds a game. He's scored 20 points in how many big games this year? How many times has he been the guy that has stepped up for this Carolina team throughout this young season so far? Ingram has been that guy. Ingram has been that guy to step up. He has elevated his game. Credit to Hubert Davis and everybody in Chapel Hill for getting him up to speed and helping him develop the way that Harrison Ingram has, because that, like I said, has been the X factor for the Tar Heels, and he was the X factor in this game. He had 21 and 13. Jared McCain, like I said last week, and like I will say apparently for the rest of the season, has been a revelation. If any of the freshmen deserve to be one and dones on this Duke team, I would almost say Jared, even though pretty much all of the freshmen this year need to come back. Not that they will, but probably should. But yeah, McCain, he's been hooping 23 and 11. He led us in scoring. Flip had 22. I need a little bit more. I need more, man. Flip has to be, he just has not been living up to his billing, or what we thought his billing might be this year. He hasn't lived up to that. I'm hoping he gets it together in this month we have before March. Jeremy Roach, the captain, had 20, but like I said, it wasn't enough. The Tar Heels at home, don't know if that was the advantage or what it was, or maybe it was just Harrison Ingram, but they had the advantage all night, and they did what they were supposed to do. Took care of Duke, beat them at home, and yeah, we'll see what happens when we go to Cameron, even though Duke has not protected Cameron the way they usually do. So we will see what happens and see if Carolina can get the sweep this year. But for now, UNC gets it done. Kansas, every week. Every week it's something. But you know what? For the first time, to quote Drake, by the way, who was back on tour with Cole. So listen, all I'm saying, if y'all boys want to, send some tickets my way, feel free to. Feel free to. Actually, send 2 for me and my boy Kobe. Listen, hey, I'm just saying, if you see this somehow, big fan, I would love, I would love the opportunity. I would fully appreciate it. A birthday gift, a birthday gift. But for the first time in a long time, to quote Aubrey Graham, we are talking about Kansas in a favorable light. They didn't get upset this week, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give a round of applause to the Kansas Jayhawks for not getting upset this week, and in fact, beating a top 10 opponent in Houston. They get the win 78-65. Hunter Dickinson continues to live up to his billing and who Hunter Dickinson is supposed to be. He had 20 and 8. He has been that star man for Kansas all year. Win or lose, Hunt usually always shows up, so credit where credit is due. For a star playing like a star. Kevin McCullough, also a star, maybe a very underrated one, but always seems to show up. 17 and 7. Him and Dickinson have been the model of consistency for this Kansas team that, despite the adversity, despite the L's they've taken, despite the upsets, has kept them afloat. McCullough and Dickinson, one of the best duos in the country this year. LJ Cryer, by the way, had 24 for Houston to lead them in this game, but unfortunately it was not to be. Kansas had control, and they get the 13-point win and avoid yet another upset. Tennessee and Kentucky. Now, Rob Dillingham, the Lou Williams incarnate, all right, 6-man like Lou Will, which is the role he actually plays on this UK team, despite some people probably saying that Rob should be starting, but you know what, he works with that second unit, and it's working, all right? Cal knows what he's doing. Look at all the great Kentucky guards in the draft, and Rob is trying to be the next one. The man went off for 35 in this game. 35! Against the big-time rival in Tennessee, Rob Dillingham, the freshman phenom, drops 35. Antonio Reeves has 21. And, of course, the star man for Tennessee all year, National Player of the Year contender, Dalton Connect. How much does Dalton have? He goes 5 for 14 in this game. Now, if I read you that and you didn't know the context of what else happened in this game, you're probably thinking, man, they shut down Dalton, Rob went off, Antonio had a 20-piece. UK had this in a bag. No, nada. Tennessee gets the win 100 and drops the century mark on UK, 103-92, because, ladies and gentlemen, Josiah James and Zakai Ziegler just seem to show up when it matters for this Volunteers team. Josiah James had 26. Ziegler had the double-double with 26 and 13. So it didn't really matter what DK did because the other two guards had it going, and they get it done for the Vols as they get the big win over Kentucky. Rob, the scoring explosion happened. All right, it's going to happen. He's a professional scorer. He is a professional scorer. Still needs to work on the rest of his game, but honestly, in a draft this week, that really justify Lou Williams reincarnate. And who's to say Lou Williams wouldn't have been a star in this year's league, which we're about to talk about not too far from now. Actually, in the next segment, talking about what's going on in the NBA. Who's to say Lou Will wouldn't have been a star, not just a 6-man? So, hey, Rob, probably a top 5 pick, certainly a top 10 in pretty much every mock draft I'm seeing now and with the way he's playing. So, yeah, Rob goes off, but it was not enough because everybody else, DK went down. Tennessee showed that, hey, we're more than one player. We are a great team, and they got a huge win against Kentucky. Like I said, dropped the century mark and one of the best games in the men's game of the week. Now, it's time to talk about the ladies. And before we get to the weekend slate, which was packed, Juju Watkins, the #1 freshman. No disrespect to Hannah Hidalgo, but this was just, the rankings. She was the unanimous #1 recruit in the country who picked fight on USC. Went off. I mean, went off. She heard everybody talking about, Hannah. Hey, Hannah might have caught her. Hannah might have surpassed her. Hannah Hidalgo should be the freshman of the year. And went nuts on Stanford. 51. The most points scored by any women's player this year. 51. A 50 ball for Juju as she showed just why she is the future of the college game. Incredible performance. Stanford as a team scored 58. She only got outscored by the entire, by the way, #4 in the country at this point in time, Stanford, Cam Brink on the other side of the ball, who had a very good game, by the way. A very good game. But nonetheless, Juju nearly outscores Stanford, accounted for what? That's well over, that might be close to 90% of her team's points. Just an incredible performance. You can go as far as saying the best performance of the year we've seen from, even counting, the great Caitlin Clark, possibly the best performance we've seen from any college player, regardless of the men's and women's game this year, from the freshman phenom. Juju Watkins gets it done. However, I will say that Stanford was able to get their lick back on the weekend against USC's crosstown rival. They did get the win against UCLA in a massive Pac-12 matchup, 80-60. Dropped Cam Brink. She had that little fall off a week or two ago where she dipped down. Kiki Irfan had to, step up, have some big time performances. But rest assured, the probable #2 pick in the draft, likely to the Los Angeles Sparks, Cam Brink, is back in business. 19, and 7 blocks. Yeah, that's about par the course for Cam. I'm not gonna hold you. It's about par the course. That's what she does. A dominant performance, a dominant performance against a UCLA team that is still trying to get their groove back, missing a Lauren Betts. This would have been a big time to have her against their old team. But nonetheless, Stanford gets their lick back, but boy, oh boy, what a week for Juju. Texas, I can only imagine how good this Texas team could have been down the stretch and how fun it would have been to see them go against these other great teams. With Lori Harmon not injured, man, in the season she was having, that could have been something special. And I mean special, but nonetheless, Texas is still powering through. They get the win 61-54, knock off the #2 team in the country, Kansas State, who I will say, of course, will lose without their star player, Ayoke Lee. So take it with a few grains of salt, all right? Just a few. But Hook'em Horns, they get it done. Booker had 20. Moore had 10 and 15. Like I said, though, no Ayoka, and that's going to be a big loss. Anytime you play in Kansas State, that is the focal point of that team. She is very similar in a way. I consider her to how she's the foundational piece to like a Alyssa Peely, right? Or to a Caitlin even at Iowa, if you want to put it on an even more extreme position. She is that focal point. She is the engine that makes this team go. And from her spot, similar to like an Alyssa, like I said, from a big situation, right? The scoring inside presence. They were missing that. Texas took advantage. They get the big upset. They get the big win. Keep building momentum even without Rory. Ohio State is real. If you didn't know, now you know. If you did not know, now you know. If you didn't know when they beat Iowa last week, you better know now. Ohio State might be the best team in the Big Ten. I'll go as far as saying that right now. They get the win over Indiana 74-69. JC Sheldon and Cody McMahon continue to emerge as one of the definitive duos in all of women's college basketball. JC had 25. Cody had 27 and 5. Spectacular. All right, they were spectacular. Mac got held to 14 points for Indiana, and anytime that happens, that usually doesn't bode well for this Indiana team. Honestly, I wonder what the actual statistics on that. When Mac doesn't score like 18 plus, what's their win-loss record? Because they probably have a lot of those losses for Indiana, and where they falter is when she gets kind of shut down or held to a certain amount. So yeah, Mac didn't have as great of a game. And on the other hand, the duo for Ohio State continues to be absolute dynamite. The Buckeyes get the win and move. Still rolling. Virginia Tech and Carolina went to double overtime. This was not a pretty game. All right. Both teams shot under 35% from the field. Georgia Moore, who I guess is the standout player here, with 21 and 11, but she shot 6 for 21. Deja Kelly also had an absolutely horrific field goal percentage, but she had 26 and really kept Carolina alive in this game. But they just ran out of steam. Simply put, ran out of steam in double OT, and that was all she wrote. Liz also had 15 and 15 this game, and Virginia Tech take back control of the ACC with a huge, huge win. But like I said, it wasn't pretty, but a win is a win. A win is a win. And Caitlin Clark, of course, we have to talk about the phenom herself, the star girl, the future of the sport, female chef, whatever you want to say. All right, she's the best in the world. All right, the best amateur college player, pound for pound, on the planet. On the planet. I will stand on that. She's the best. And boy, she is getting closer and closer to that scoring record. I think we probably next week. All right. Sometime next week, I think either that Nebraska game or the week after at the scoring rate she's on right now is when she'll break it. I think she's just over, 62 or 61, just over 60 points away from Kelsey Plum's scoring record, who has given her the green light to do so. So, yeah, we'll talk about that when it happens. But, yeah, Caitlin, another dominant, couple dirty balls. She's now leading the country in assists, too. So, yeah, just the usual. Caitlin Clark is, the best player in the country stuff. Nothing, no big deals. You know how this goes. Quick unofficial sponsor of today's episode of the 815 Exchange. Have to give a shout out to Amaran for the PT4Cs. These are the lights. If you notice, the production quality has upgraded in the past few, weeks, even maybe the past 2 months, I think, since we got them. In terms of lighting, this is why. The PT4Cs, absolutely amazing. Vertical, they're about, I'd say, around 3 feet tall. Each of them, you get 4 each in the bag, and they have been absolutely essential to kind of the production of this podcast. So big shout out to Amaran for those. Wonderful product. Of course, they're not paying me, like I said, unofficial sponsor. They're not paying me to say that, but yeah, the capabilities on these have been tremendous. You can use them even besides stuff like this. I had my dad use them for intros, creating player intros before the game, any type of photo shoot you're trying to do, concepts. I even use it as a lightsaber, I think, for a photo. So yeah, just you can do amazing things. A full color wheel. They also have an app which you control it Bluetooth, which I do a lot. Different settings, like I currently have it on TV, so it flickers from that darker, more harsher light to a little bit brighter to kind of add to the atmosphere of this podcast. And of course, you can go to a plain white light if you want the generic. You can do police lights, you can do party lights, whatever thing you need, any type of lighting you need can be provided by these. So yeah, big shout out to them. If you guys want a manual video, I will be gladly able to do that if that is something you want. But yeah, shout out to our unofficial sponsor for episode 183, Amaran. Shout out to you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, all right, the National Basketball Association. Like I said, we got stuff to talk about, man. We got things to talk about in the NBA, man. Listen, Joel Embiid. All right, listen. I will ask for forgiveness. All right. It's not that Embiid was ducking. It's just he's injury prone, right? My bad. Along with everybody else, for everybody saying, hey, Joel, he's been sitting out a lot of these, these big games and all that stuff. Scores, 40, 50 on these lower teams, but when it matters, he won't play Jokic. We said all that. But you know what? I will ask for forgiveness. I apologize. He's just injury prone, all right? And that has been kind of the Achilles heel, literally, of Joel Embiid, though so far in his career, has been injuries, and it's gotten to him again. A torn meniscus this time puts him out of the MVP race, puts him out of the All-NBA, makes him ineligible for that, actually, which has been a large discussion, which, by the way, is completely justified that you have to play, 60-something games or 65 games or whatever it is, or 60% of the whatever the mark is, it's fair. It's fair. You can't miss 30, 40 games and be like, yeah, you're the MVP still. No. You don't get to do that, buddy. Absolutely not. So yeah, I see a lot of people talking about it. I saw somebody that's not even in any of the races talking about it, which is kind of crazy. But anyways, Embiid, torn meniscus, huge loss for the 76ers team, which has been dealing. Maxey just got named an All-Star. So really, Philly should be up right now. But yeah, harsh for them. But you know what? You want your star player back for the playoffs. He should be with getting the surgery done. Should be back close to 100% by the time the playoffs start. But yeah, Embiid, Out for the Sixers. Sixers need to stay afloat, though. Still need to stay afloat. Don't want to fall off here without, your superstar center. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I apologize on my behalf. I didn't know. All right, I didn't know. My B. Chef Curry. 60. Why is it always the Hawks? Are they just that bad defensively, by the way? I like the Hawks' defensive ratings, which I didn't check, but probably should have before this podcast, have to be something horrific. All right, it's got to be real bad. For those of y'all that go to Atlanta or Atlanta fans, is your defense just that bad that everybody, I mean every week, is dropping 140 on you and somebody is dropping 60 on you? Because it was Chef Curry's time this time. He dropped 60, but here's the catch, ladies and gentlemen. In an L and a loss. That is now, by the way, we have had five 60-point games. Now, last week I was like, listen, it ain't because the defense is just, the skill level. The game is a little bit different. Pace is much higher, which is all true. But at a certain point, where 60 is starting to look like the new 50, maybe even the new 40, we got a little bit of issue. We got a little bit of an issue, all right, defensively. And maybe the defense isn't quite up to what it used to be with players scoring at this insane of a rate as they have been this year. So, yeah. All right, but credit where credit's due to Chef. All right, 60, career high, yada, yada, yada. But Hawks, what's going on? By the way, everybody that scored 60, all 3 games where somebody has scored 60, and not the 2 games where somebody scored 70, all 3 of those games, each player's team has lost. So I guess the key is to score 70. All right, if you're going to score more than 60, you better score 70. Don't hit 60, 61, 62. You're going to take an L. All right, apparently you got to get that extra 10 points. But yeah, the scoring fiesta looks like it's going to be an all-year thing. All right, we will have many more scoring fiestas, and Chef Curry looking to contribute to that list. He joins this year, not even the all-time, just this year's 60-point club. The Rockets started off the beginning of last week on fire. I mean, scorching hot. That young core has been hooping. Cam Whitmore, Sengun took a little bit of a step back, but he's been hooping all year, so that's fine. Jabari Smith was getting it in. Jalen Green was on one. Ever since that Drea news dropped, the boy, and everybody was like, yo, JG might be getting traded. Boy went ballistic. He was averaging like 34 in his last 5 games. Did take a little bit of a step back, had an awful game against Minnesota yesterday, which really hurts what I was about to talk about with him and really my praise of him this week. But yeah, JG has been hooping a lot better over his last 10 than he really started season. Looking like he might have turned that corner. We'll see how he can bounce back from that Minnesota game or if that's a regression back to the mean. But yeah, we'll see. But JG is hooping. Might got a kid on the way, but Jalen Green, looking like Jalen Green again. Entertainment. ENT. I'm watching Ted Lasso, by the way. I've been watching Ted Lasso on season 2, episode 9. I did not expect Sam. I respect it. I respect it, Sam. That's all I'm gonna say. In case you haven't seen, Ted Lasso, that's all I'm gonna say. Good. Hey, I respect it. Also, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the sauceless version, came out. I heard it's good, though, so I'll probably check it out since I did hear it's good. I don't know how they're going to top, the Brangelina one. I don't see it happening. What else happened? Oh, the Grammys. Killer Mike got the sweep for the rap stuff and then got arrested. Cardi and Aiden Ross, which you can just look at Twitter for. I'm not going to really entertain that. Taylor Swift wins Album of the Year. She always does, and then she's dropping a new album in like April, which she's at a young boy level of volume right now. But she is, she's that girl. That's pretty much something you can say right now. Who else? Victoria Monet. Tyler's first award is a Grammy, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, Grammys happen. Drake and Cole, but we already talked about that. All right, music. What came out this week? Don Toliver. Continue. Does he have a project coming up? Does Don have a project coming up? Which is a very quick, I guess, turnaround, I feel. Because he dropped one last year, and then usually we have like a little bit of a delay with Don. And then we have another one. But you know what? He's been dropping some singles here and there, which I ain't too mad about. Of course, got the kid on the way with Cali. But yeah, Bandit by Don T. Very good. I enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I give it the cosign. Toliver makes some very, very good music. YUGYEOM dropped La Soul Me, which was also very good. So shout out to Yug. Higher Music, AOMG, getting back on the plates. And back up. I need Gray. If Yu-Gi-Oh's dropping an album soon, I need that. I need everybody to tap back in. It's been too long, all right? It's been too long. Ocean from the Blue has been holding down my KRMB playlist, but I need the boys to return. But yeah, those two singles this week from those two artists, some of my favorite artists, honestly, both dropped. Both would easily get a cosign. And yeah, that was entertainment for the week. Which, of course, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the National Football League. Yes, the NFL, the San Francisco 49ers, the Kansas City Chiefs. We are here, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. Super Bowl week has finally descended upon us. Some of us made it. Some of us didn't, like Patrick Mahomes' father. But hey, we here. All right, we here. Let's talk. 49ers, Chiefs. Who am I picking, right? Who am I? That's the first question, right? Who is Ocho picking? Lord knows. All right, Lord knows. For monetary reasons, I got the 49ers. All right, I'm not going to lie. We only got one sheet left because the Ravens folded against KC last week. All right. Or really, I guess 2 weeks now. 2 weeks ago. But anyways, monetary reasons, I got the 49ers. But I'm not going to lie to you. The chaotic part of me wants to see Kansas City win just so I can see y'all melt down. Just because of, I'm a villain. All right, I'm a villain. I love a villain. And right now, the Chiefs are the villains. All right, so the chaotic, villainous part of me really wants to see Twitter and just the rest of the world melt down if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. I really want to see it. The whole, Taylor flies in from Japan. She makes it to the Super Bowl. Travis pulls out the ring, like that scenario I talked about last week. Oh, man, I would love it. I would love it just to see y'all claim rigged and y'all just fall apart and just be irrationally angry. I would love it. The sick part of me just wants to see the world burn, like the Joker said. I want to see the world burn. And that is what will happen if the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl. But let's talk about the teams, man. Let's get some actual analysis besides, my thirst for chaos. 49ers, of course, were probably on paper the team to beat going into this matchup, even with the Chiefs' pedigree. This 49ers team is pretty complete. All right. Defensively, offensively, very, very few weaknesses, if you can even point out any on this team. Defensively, that front seven is about as good as they get. All right, it's about as good as they get. Nick Bosa, Chase Young, just every first rounder they spent or traded for on that defensive line. You've got Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner, two of the best linebackers on the planet. And back there, you got Travarius Ward, who has been dominant. In a way similar to L'Jarius Sneed, who we're about to talk about for the Chiefs, has been in that secondary. They don't really have any weaknesses. All right, offensively, you got Brock Purdy, who is going to need to step up a little bit more. By the way, unless he goes ballistic on Sunday, still not elite. He's a good quarterback. Give him his flowers for being better than we expected. He's great in this system. But do not for a second believe that Brock Purdy is elite unless he goes off. I mean off, all right, in the Super Bowl. I mean off. But for now, Purdy has been a very, very good quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year, and really since he arrived at San Fran and took over that starting spot. But of course, the focal point of that offense is not Purdy. He is not the engine that makes that thing go. It, of course, is the best running back on God's green earth, and that is one Christian McCaffrey back home in Cali, and he has still been on his stuff. All right, CMC still cooking, touchdown merchant, yardage merchant, whatever you want to call it. He's the best running back possibly of this era, and he is looking to get that Super Bowl ring that would cement his spot atop of that, ladder. But yeah, CMC, he's the thing that gets that going. All right, if he's going off, the Chiefs are in a bad deal. All right, it is not going to be pretty. If he gets going, and he is very, very difficult to start. But if you got to stop somebody on the San Fran offense, it has to be him. Brandon Ayuk has been big time. Deebo Samuel also, like I said, has been so valuable to this 49ers team. When he's healthy, when he is playing like Deebo is, when he is a number one guy, that changes the game for this 49ers offense. Of course, George Kittle. We got the two best tight ends of this era. All right, the two best tight ends of this era, or this post like Gronk era, if you want to say, the two best. All right, Kittle, Kelsey, going at it again. Kittle still playing at a high level, still one of the best tight ends in the world. So yes, not a lot of weaknesses. I'm not gonna lie. If I'm the Chiefs, that defense, you have to stop CMC, and you got to put the pressure on Purdy. If you got to make somebody on that offense win this game, you better make Brock Purdy win this game. You better say to Brock Purdy, if you are elite, let's find out. If you are that guy who some 49er fans want to claim you are, you have to be that guy in the Super Bowl. If I would say anything for the Chiefs defense, you got to make. CMC can't beat you. You got to take him as much as you can out of the equation. You got to say Brock Purdy has to go out against our secondary, which has stepped up big time in the postseason throughout the season. You got to beat them. So, yeah, that's kind of the way to success for the 49ers. They just got to play their game. Take control. Defense has to do what they've done all year. Offense has to do what they've done all year, and they will be Super Bowl champions. For the Chiefs, of course, the name of the game is very simple. That defense has stepped up massively, but Patrick Mahomes has to be Patrick Mahomes. Absolutely has to be Patrick Mahomes. Now, you've got Pincheo, you've got Travis Kelce, and occasionally you have Rashee Rice. That's about it. MVS, maybe go for one big play a game. But you better make that one big play count. Because that 49ers defense, they've been gashed. They've been scored on. They're not invulnerable. Even though I said they don't really have too many weaknesses. They're not invulnerable. But you cannot have a down game here in the Super Bowl if you're that Chiefs offense. Mahomes has to live up to the billing. He has to look like the best player, the best quarterback of all time, if that's what we're calling him. Not the GOAT, but the best. He has to be the best. Feeding Kelsey was the right game plan against the Ravens. Even though I expect the 49ers to try to find ways to stop that, he should be the guy again. You got to feed it. It's one of the greatest duos in the history of our league. They got to get the ball to their guy. Mahomes, Kelsey, has to go. Winning time, has to go. Defensively, they have to have one more night of magic. One more night of dominance. Don't know what's going to happen next year, but Chris Jones, like I said, L'Jarius Sneed, Bolton have to have one more night against a really tough offense of the 49ers. They got to have one more night of magic. We will see. All right, should be a very good Super Bowl. I think these teams are much closer on paper. After seeing them in action, seeing them this postseason, I think they're very close. I think this is very close to a 50-50 game because, like I said, you can't teach championship pedigree, and the Chiefs have that more than anybody right now. It is their era. They have that magic about them. Do they have it for one more night, or is this the time that San Fran finally ascends the ladder again and reclaims that crown atop of the NFL? We will see, but that is the NFL, and that is the Super Bowl. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the Roundup. NHL All-Star Week, all right? It was NHL All-Star Weekend. McJesus won the skills competition to absolutely, positively nobody's surprise. Kucherov didn't even try. It looked like he was hammered out there, which he may have been. All right? I wouldn't doubt that Kuch may have been hammered during the skills competition, and that's why he performed so horribly. But, yeah, McJesus wins. He is that guy. He's the best player in the world. No surprise there. All-Star game. Even though, the All-Star MVP should have probably gone to the Brinket. But, with that said, Team Matthews, Team Bieber does win the All-Star game this year. Very good All-Star weekend, by the way, for the NHL. Very, very good press. Saw a lot of good things. People enjoyed it. So, yeah. Shouts to the NHL for getting it done. Tate McRae also helped kind of steal the show. She made the All-Star game before her ex-boyfriend, who was the material for a lot of the hits that have made her into the star she now is today. So shout out to Tate. She had a great performance this past week as well. Beebs, Matthews got it done for the 6. And yeah, very good All-Star weekend. Like I said, good job to the NHL. Kylian Mbappe. All right, listen, he hit 20 goals in League One this year, but also, apparently he's going to Real Madrid. Finally. That was the report, that he signed the pre-contract. We don't know for sure. And like every Real Madrid fan, should I say, and all my Real Madrid friends as well, have said, and as I'm going to say, I will believe it when I see it. When he goes out there, even if they announce him, and we see that Comunicado official, or even when we see the unveiling, I need to see him in the kit. Until I see Kylian in the actual RM white and gold, I will not believe it. All right, I will believe it when I see it. And yeah, we gonna see. All right, so we gonna see. But it says it's a done deal. Mbappe to Real Madrid. We will see what happens. But yeah, apparently it's a done deal. Like I said, I'll believe it when I see it. But ladies and gentlemen, it's funny that we have this going last because it ended up, honestly, if we're being honest, this is the biggest news in the sports world this week. Even more than anything in the NBA, certainly bigger than anything in college basketball. Hell, even anything that happened in the entertainment thing, this realm this weekend, even with the Grammys and Taylor dropping out, all that pales in comparison to the blockbuster. We had a very quiet, silly season in F1 ahead of this new season here in 2024. But boy, oh boy, oh boy, has 2024, the actual year, brought us a massive announcement. One of the biggest in F1 history. Lewis Hamilton will be wearing red. Yes, the great, possibly the GOAT, Sir Lewis Hamilton, is headed to Ferrari at the end of the 2024 season. For the first time in his entire career, he will not be racing a Mercedes. Because, of course, McLaren, Mercedes, and then, of course, he went to Mercedes. This will be the first time he's not in anything Merc, which feels weird. Feels weird. It's going to be very weird to see Lewis in red. But boy, oh boy, what a driver combination Ferrari's going to have with him and Leclerc. I mean, that is a game changer. That's got to be, off of pure talent, one of the best driver duos probably in the history of the sport. I mean, this is massive. Massive. And the pressure is now on Ferrari to make a car that is going to be competitive enough to compete with Red Bull and Max for that 2025 season. Because boy, oh boy, would it be horrendous. A damage to the fans and to the potential of the sport if Ferrari sends out a crap, just garbage car, a box as we say, with Lewis and Charles, when you could have magic. We could have magic in 2025. So hopefully, the greatest team of all time can put together one of their greatest cars for one of the greatest tandems we are going to have in F1 history. But yeah, Charles, Lewis, going to be very, very interesting. And that even spices up this year, of course. Where is Carlos going, right? The smooth operator in his last year. How will he perform? How will he feel about that? He deleted all of his Ferrari-related stuff off his IG. I'm sure Carlos probably feels a type of way. Where is he going to end up? And of course, Mercedes now has an open spot in 2025. Now, George, long awaited, long expected to be the number one driver at Mercedes. So he probably moves into that role. But who joins him, right? Does Albon, who has been the best of that kind of mid-round pack, does Albon move up to better machinery and we see what Alex can do? Frederick Vesti has been solid as a junior. Do they believe that he's good enough to make that jump? Or do they go for maybe a Fernando Alonso, a legend of the sport, one of the greatest to ever do it, a proven commodity to hold it down for 1 to 2 years until he retires, and then they move it to whoever they choose? And of course, perhaps the most intriguing option of all, even besides just a straight-up trade to Carlos to Merc, Lewis to Ferrari, rests in the hands of the number one, if we had prospects in Formula One, the number one prospect in all of F1, Kimi Antonelli, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who has torched the past 2 years. Everything he's driven, he's won. Every major competition he's entered, he has won and won with excellence. He has been that guy. Dominated karting, then said, all right, time to hop in the actual car. And what has he done? He's won 4 championships in 2 years, and he's entered all 4. Hell, there was a single, I forgot the name of it, a very high-regarded, junior single-day race. Won that too. He's won everything. He's looked like that type of prospect, a Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton generational type talent. Of course, won Freca last year, and now he's skipping ahead to join another one of the top prospects in F1, Oliver Bierman, in F2 at Prima. Of course, known history of pretty much printing out the best of the best in F1. If Kimi Antonelli lives up to the hype in F2, even let's go as far as saying wins F2, we could have a very interesting situation with maybe him getting called up into that Merc seat and being one of the youngest drivers we've had in a very, very long time in F1. So yeah, a lot of interesting storylines. It's going to be very interesting. You can let me know what you think or what you think Mercedes should do. You know, I've seen a lot of people saying, hey, Alonso should get it. Let Kimi cook in F2 for a little bit. And then when Alonso's ready to step down, you just move Antonelli. I've heard people say the straight up trade. You let me know who you think should get that second Mercedes spot. But it's going to be very, very interesting. But yeah, Lewis to Ferrari, Forza Lewis is crazy. All right, that is crazy. But yeah, huge news in F1. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it for episode 183. I hope you enjoyed. I most certainly did. And like I said, age 23 off to a bang. Let's keep the momentum going. Podcast numbers have actually been up recently. A lot of attention. You guys on TikTok, if you come from there, I've been appreciating the conversations we've had, and I know you guys have been enjoying the clips, so trying to keep those rolling for you guys. But yeah, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great week. We are in the best month of the year, not just because it's Black History Month, but also because, like I said, it's my birthday month. So yeah, happy birthday to me. But for now, Ocho signing off.